We want to talk about that third tool that will help you. This is coming from A Couple's Guide to Communication from Dr. John Gottman. Remember, we're acknowledging fears, we're filtering our day, we're also going to level the communication ground. We want you to picture a carpenter's level. You know you've tried to hang pictures and you want them always to be level. Sorry to bring up a rough issue if that's a real one for you guys. But it's sometimes when we are feeling very passive or very aggressive, we are coming at our spouse on unlevel ground. We are feeling more in charge. We're trying to push on their buttons. We're trying to have the higher ground. And that is great for war and not great for trying to actually work out solution or to hear each other well. So we want to give you some very clear examples of bad communication traps that you could get into. And we're going to take each one and think about how to make communication level with that instead of being unlevel.
Now, you won't like us at the end of this video because these are things that you probably do, but you don't have words for. And what we find with a lot of the couples we work with, that they end up going, oh, man, now I know what this is. And when I do it, there's a word for it. So hopefully you will still like us. But anyway, well, the first thing we want to talk about is what we call character assassination. And that just sounds horrible, doesn't it?
I know, it does.
And it's exactly what it seems. Instead of keeping an issue the issue, we make the issue the person. Now, I'll give you an example. Say I didn't take out the garbage, and I told Abigail that I would. Or actually, I'll kind of reverse it and attack my wife. I love her dearly, but I'll still attack her. So let's say she was supposed to take out the garbage. And instead of the frustration being about the garbage, because I could be frustrated the garbage didn't go out, I can make it about her. And start saying things like, you're so bad, what's wrong with you, why don't you care, and I'm just beating her down verbally. And I'm assassinating her character. I'm attacking her as a person and saying that there are fatal flaws in her versus the issue at hand. Now, here's the issue with this. I can't solve my wife. Believe me, I spent 19 years trying.
It's true.
And she spent 19 years trying to solve me. The reality is we want to go to God first and be able to acknowledge with Him my frustration and then be able to talk about the issue itself. And that's a different thing. If I keep the issue, then we can go about resolving it. If we make the issue each other, we're both going to get defensive.
Unfortunately, that's just the first one. The second one is hurling insults at each other, calling each other names. When you are resorting to, you're a jerk, other words we can't say in this video.
We could beep them, but it just wouldn't be the same.
Right, beep, you're a beep. When you call each other names, you are it's a form of character assassination as well, but it doesn't feel good. And you know that you don't want to be called names. And so don't go to that with each other. Instead, keep the issue, say them, call them what they really are, and not try to resort to those sorts of things.
And then kitchen sinking. Kitchen sinking is one of my favorites. Sounded kind of odd, but it's this idea because there's an ice cream, right? A Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Is it called like the kitchen sink?
I don't think it's Ben & Jerry's, but yeah, it's called the kitchen sink.
So anyway, it has everything in it, right?
Everything you could imagine in ice cream.
And so that's what we end up doing to each other. When I'm upset about something, I start listing every negative thing that we've never actually resolved. Now, we're going to get into conflict resolution in a couple lessons from now, but I might start saying, and you don't take the garbage out, and you said you would take this back to the store, and you said you would do this, you said you would do that, and do this, and then we're just slowly stuffing a person down. And we don't want a kitchen sink. We want to keep one issue the topic of the conversation, and then share it in a healthy way.
So, are you a kitchen sinker? Or is your spouse a kitchen sinker? But wait, there's more. Cross-complaining. This one's actually my favorite. This is when you bring up an issue to your spouse. It's not my favorite to do, but it's my favorite to talk about.
I don't know.
You bring up an issue. Hey, I'm really frustrated. You said you'd pay this bill and you didn't, and now we have a notice. And spouse right away jumps in.
Well, yeah, but you said you'd unload the dishwasher. You didn't do that.
So now you can see we're going to get nowhere because one issue gets matched with, yeah, but you didn't do something right either.
It's like a sword fight. It's like
is.
I wield my sword and you counter. And
that's right.
Yeah.
It's defensiveness, and it also is those unresolved issues coming back to bite you. And we don't want those things to happen. That's why we're going to get to the conflict resolution. But there's one more bad habit you might fall into.
And I always think of the show Everybody Loves Raymond. Now, I know at this point it's kind of an older show, but I'm an older guy. And there's the mother-in-law on the show. It's Ray's mom, and she is complaining constantly. And that's the last one we're going to look at, complaining constantly. It's like you come home and instead of filtering your day, it's like, oh, well, I see that the kitchen's not clean. Oh, and wow, you managed to not clean the living room either. And oh, wow, look, the dishes aren't done. And it's just like everything. It's, or you sit down to dinner and, it's like, hey, here's your dinner. Oh, great. Oh, it's a little cold. Oh, a little bland. Oh, a little too much salt. And, now I'm kind of going overboard a little bit, but it is that same idea that there's just constant complaining and there's never the positive. We're looking at that negative. It's all we see. Mm-hmm. And we see this especially with couples that are struggling, that it's hard to see the positive. And all they can see are those negatives and they're continually and constantly complaining.
Now, the first thing to dealing with this is just to acknowledge, to admit that you do have a problem with one of these. And so think about...
It's the first step, right?
I know, first
admit
step,
that there's
right?
a problem.
Admit there's a problem and acknowledge which one of these might be something that you struggle with. We're going to look ahead soon about how to resolve. But when you catch yourself doing these things, try to make a change. Try to stop yourself in your tracks. Maybe even say, oh, that was a cross complaint. I'm sorry. What was your issue again? Let's try to work on this.
Key word there is yourself, right? You're going to look back at
Don't
yourself.
call your spouse
Don't
out.
go, I see you're cross-complaining. Okay, that's not what we're trying to do right now. Keep it about you. Jesus talks about this, right? Look at instead of looking at the speck in my neighbor's eye, I'm going to look at the log in my own. Mm-hmm. So focus on that log. Don't focus on the speck. Let them focus on themselves. And again, first go to God and then come together as a brother and sister in Christ.
Mm-hmm.